All right, today we are going to be taking a look at making a color wheel that deals specifically with how we mix complementary colors. And so what are complementary colors, and what's it really mean when we talk about neutralizing one color with another color? So I'm going to make a fairly simplistic color wheel. And this really just needs to be the very minimum. Actually, I'm going to make mine. I think I did a little too bold. Let's turn this down just a little bit. But what I'd like for you to think about is we're making a target. And as we looked at the work of Chuck Close earlier this week, we looked at how he used color in a very unique way. If you'll remember, Chuck was able to blend color by taking a dot of purple and putting a dot of yellow in it and that sort of thing. I don't like that last line. Let me try that again. Oh, much better. Okay, so we're going to look first of all, what our six primary colors are, and you can add tertiary at your discretion. I would love to see some tertiary mixing as well. And if you'll remember, tertiary colors are when we get, and I'm going to write this down here because it's a really weird word. It looks weird. Tertiary colors are a primary, like red, plus a secondary, like orange. Secondary, my spelling right there. Like orange, and then we get red orange. So red orange would be a tertiary color. Complementary colors are opposite on that color wheel. All right, opposite on color wheel. And so I would like for you to be making a color wheel that makes note of what these different color words mean. The other one that you're gonna hear me use is analogous. And analogous colors are next to each other on the color wheel. And I'll explain that here in just a second a little more. So let's start off by just adding our primary and our secondary colors. So I'm going to first go over here and I'm going to choose from the custom range a nice bright red. I like that one. And I'm going to put my red right here. Oh, I'm going to turn it with a little marker so I can fill it in a little quicker. So you're going to make sure that you have your colors where they belong. Now, because we're doing primary and secondary, we're going to skip a block between. Oops, let me do this again. I'm going to go to the layer below, and that way, if I get on my line, it's not going to matter. Keep it clean. Want to make it look good. Now, you do not have to be using chrome canvas. Hopefully, you've got some like watercolor crayons. You can use crayons to mix the same. But you're going to draw a color wheel that looks something like this, sort of like a target, if you will. Now, again, remember, we are only doing our primary and secondary, our primary and secondary on this. And so the next one I'm going to do is my yellow. And since between yellow and red is going to be my orange, I'm going to skip that one block and go over here and do my yellow. And so I can make that one orange. All right, my yellow is going to go here. And then I want to put my blue in, again, because I need to skip those blocks, those areas that the secondary colors in are going to go in, like green will go between yellow and blue. When I choose my blue, I'm going to choose a nice blue. Nothing too purpley. There we go. And I'm going to put in my blue here. So hopefully you are doing the same thing. You're putting your red, yellow, and blue in. And again, you can be using color pencils, you can be using watercolors, you can be using crayons, you can be using sketch pad. We're going to kind of change our medium here in just a second. My tool anyway that I'm using in Chrome Canvas in just a few minutes when we start blending. But for right now, I'm just going with the marker so I can identify those primary and secondary colors. So I've got my three primary in, my red, yellow, blue. I'm going to put in my secondary colors, which are, if we will recall, purple goes between red and blue. Put my purple in here between my red and my blue. All right. And so, again, our emphasis this week is color theory. What are the theories that people have about color and how our eyes see and blend color? I'm going to put my orange in here. I want to find an orange that I think is really sort of in between that red and blue I've chosen, and I really like that orange. That's nice. Turn my size up just a little bit, make this go just a little faster. All right. And then, so again, yours does not have to look just like this. It has to have the colors where these are, but your orange might be slightly different than mine. That's okay. If your red's not exactly the same as mine, that's not. Just want to make sure we're going to try to get as true of those colors as we can. Again, I'm going to try to choose a green that I think most accurately represents what that mixture of the yellow I've got and the blue I've got would be. And I'm pretty tickled with this. So now I've got the basic 6 color um, color wheel. Now I could identify, and if you would like to do this, I'm perfectly fine with that. That would be great. But you could identify, for instance, that on this line, somewhere between that yellow and that green is going to be a yellow green, and that's a tertiary color. Somewhere between that yellow and that orange that we've got over there is probably going to be something like this, that yellow orange. That's that tertiary color. Somewhere between that red and that orange, we might see something like this. Whoop, that's a little more. A little more. There we go. Something like this, a red orange, which is that tertiary color. Somewhere between red and blue, we're going to see something maybe like this, which is sort of a red violet, red blue. Red purple. We're going to look at between blue and purple. We might have something that looks like blue. Maybe something like that in between. So we see that those tertiary colors are those colors that lie in between the primary and the secondary. So tertiary colors are colors that are between the primary and the secondary. Those are those little dots around the outside, those tertiary colors. So the analogous colors, if we think about 3 colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel, we might think about, say, for instance, orange, yellow, and green. Well, those 3 are analogous because they share sort of a common relative, and that being yellow. Yellow is in orange, yellow's obviously in yellow, and yellow's in green. If we look at blue and green and yellow, those 3 are analogous to each other because they sort of share a common relative. Yellow's in green and blue is in green, so green is that common relative between yellow, blue, and green. Again, if we go over further, we got purple, blue, and green are 3 that lie next to each other. And they share a color relationship. Those 3 colors are analogous because blue is in purple, blue is in green, and of course blue is in blue. So anytime we have 3 of those colors on that 6-color wheel lying right next to each other, those are going to be analogous. Now we're also going to be able to include those complementary colors, those tertiary colors that fall in between. So, for instance, when we look at that relationship between green, yellow, and orange, yes, yellow, orange, and green, those are analogous. The orange, yellow, and green are analogous, but so are that yellow orange is it going to be analogous to those, and is that yellow green, because they also fall on that in between those 3 colors. So now we're going to talk about the idea of complementary colors. And complementary colors are opposite on the color wheel. So for instance, the yellow is opposite purple. Purple and yellow are complementary. Red is opposite green. Red and green are complementary. And orange is opposite blue. Blue and orange are complementary colors. That means these colors share a unique relationship. They complement each other. They complement each other in a particular way. And so we are going to capitalize on that, just like Chuck Close did. What's that relationship that those colors have when we blend them together? So I'm going to choose my pastel tool, and I'm going to turn my size up pretty good because I don't want to take forever with this, but I'm only turn my opacity about halfway up. And this way I can start to blend two colors and see what those kind of colors would look like when we blend them together. So the first relationship I want to try is red and green. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to choose that red that I started with. And I think it was sort of up in here. And I'm going to put a little of it here. Okay. And a little bit of it here. And I'm going to add just a little more here because this is the red side. And I want to see with a little more red than green what that's going to end up looking like. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to choose my green. And so I'm going to come over here and try to pick the green that I think I had. That's pretty close. And I'm going to lay it over more so here. I want this to be a little more towards the green. And I'm going to put a little on this red so I can kind of see what that looks like. As we go towards the center of it, I'm going to add a little more of that green here. And I want to kind of add quite a bit. And the same over here. And I'm going to go back over and I'm going to grab my red. And I want to see what happens when I put that red over that green. And what if I do another layer of green over so that maybe the red isn't so pronounced? What happens then? Okay, so if you can see, I'm starting to get this brown color because those two colors begin to neutralize or go to a neutral value. They begin to create sort of a brown. One of the best browns you can create is when you mix red paint with green paint. It makes a great brown. So now we're going to look at sort of how that color relationship works with these other values and other colors as well. So now I'm going to go back to my orange, and I'm going to add a little orange here just like I did with my red. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little to this very center. I'm going to do the same thing on my blue side because I want to see what that's going to look like when I mix my blue. I'm not going to put quite as much orange because I want to see what it looks like with more blue on that side. I'm going to choose my blue. I'm going to go back over that orange with my blue and see what starts to happen. And again, we can already start to recognize that those colors begin to neutralize each other. They're not bright any longer. They're becoming much more dark and much more muted. In other words, the vibrance and the colors are kind of going out of them, and we're seeing them become more brown or sort of towards the gray. And so very often when we mix that blue and that orange together, we get a real nice sort of gray developing. It's kind of an interesting little gray. Next, we're going to look at our blue and our yellow. When we look at our blue, let me choose that. Excuse me, purple and yellow. That's it. Purple and yellow. Let's go to the purple. I think got that one's pretty good. I'm going to lay my purple in first. And then just a little bit in this one, because this is going to be mostly yellow. And I'm going to choose my yellow again. And I can go back and forth and mix these using this pastel to kind of achieve that neutral tone that I think we should be getting with these particular values. Now, let's look at that center, what's happening there. All of those colors in the center, purple, there we go, are going to sort of start to turn into this odd, sort of weird brown. And so we want to look at how Chuck was able to create the idea of the those colors becoming neutral and browns and grays and creating those flesh tones by looking at how complementary colors blend together. So what I'd like for you to do for your assignment this week is do sort of what I've done here. Yours is going to look different because the medium you use is going to blend together much differently. Honestly, using a chrome canvas isn't the best because it's not the very best way to blend. If you're using Sketchpad, even 5.1, you can use that little smudge tool, and it's a little easier to kind of smudge these colors. But I want you to understand, even using the most basic tool like this chrome canvas, you can recognize that red, when mixed with that green, starts to become a sort of brownish color. And we get to that center, it's definitely sort of a brownish neutral color. It doesn't look like red. It doesn't look like green. It doesn't really look like a tertiary colors. These colors become more neutralized. They go more towards the gray and the brown, those natural earth tones, that sort of thing, if you will. So that's your assignment this week. I would like for you on your color wheel design this week to indicate the following colors. You want to identify what does complementary mean and which of these colors are complementary. What are tertiary, and make sure you understand what the tertiary colors are, those primary and secondary mixed together. I'd like for you to show those on your color wheel. I'd like for you to recognize the analogous colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. Why are those analogous, and which colors are analogous to which colors? And I would like for your color wheel to reflect at least three. Now, I've only got three different transitions from the raw color to a light mixture to a darker mixture. You could have more rings if you wanted and show more differentiation in those color wheels. And again, I want to just really quickly show you that color wheel that we kind of looked at that was reflective of what Chuck Close was trying to achieve. And let me see if I can find it very quickly here. It's one of my very favorite color wheels. It is the one that shows the neutral. And I should have it saved on mine, and I don't. Why not? Hold on. I probably already passed it, and y'all are going, you've gone by it, Mr. Mcguire. So this is very reflective of it. This is kind of what we're going for. This you'll see as you mix these colors back and forth across each other, they sort of uh, counter each other. But that is really not the color wheel design that I like that I liked most. The one I like most because that one really looks more at the tints and shades. Let's see. Looks like so complimentary. So when we looked at, the larger color wheel, you could see that these were sort of what you got when you mix, and these were the little interior colors that mixed. But they had that one really nice one that shows those slow transitions, much like you would get if you were using like watercolors or to do your, oh goodness. I may have to just go to my, hmm. This is what happens when you have way too many images saved on your computer. Well, in any event, I really wanted to be able to look at that, but I don't know where I saved it. Isn't that awful? I think I've only told you all about 1,000 times. Remember where you save everything. That's not the one I'm looking for. Too many color wheels. Look at all the color wheels I've created. You may say, "Hey, I think we created a color wheel." Of course, we'll make lots of color wheels. Color wheels should be. You should create a color wheel every time you switch media and go to something different because you want to be able to see how those complementary colors mix in a variety of different mediums. And so, what you get when you mix orange and blue in watercolors is going to be a little different than what you get when you mix those same colors in pastels or acrylic paint, oil paints, crayon, whatever the medium you're using. So when you change mediums, it always makes sense to make a little color wheel so you recognize how those colors are going to blend and mix together. Guys, that does it for our lesson today. Thank you for playing along. I look forward to seeing you in class again later this week. Oops, wrong button.